Welcome to another CEO Wisdom podcast with Peggy Li. With us today, she's CEO and Chief Troubleshooter at SPS Affinity. She's also founder and principal consultant at Arista Approach. She's live from Dubai right now. We're going to talk about a bunch of interesting things today: China marketing, hospitality industry, restaurants, marketing strategies, social media marketing, and leadership development, amongst other things. This podcast is brought to you by podbar.com. That's my podcasting company. If you want to start or scale a podcast, if you want to monetize a podcast, that can be pretty fun because podcasts are ever printing ATM. Once you master them, go to podbuyer.com for that. Peggy, welcome to the pods. Tell me a bit more about
Thank you for
yourself and a
having
bit
me.
more about that Chief Troubleshooter title.
It's so funny. So when I first started my work in Dubai, everyone need to find a way to create their own unique selling point. And there is some sort of a myth of a lot of people thinks, well, hotels, restaurant, eateries are easy, but in actual fact, they're not. So we end up having to do a lot of operation, troubleshoot, and restructuring. So then that's when it comes to point is chief troubleshooter, because people will only approach someone like you to come and resolve their problem. If they don't have a problem, they won't come and find you. So my background, a Hong Kong Chinese, studied hotel catering management in UK, and then went on to do a huge expedition of work that I call myself a stargazer. What I meant by stargazer is I pursued in the life of luxury Michelin star restaurant career. That's why the word stargazer comes into play. And then with that, I had a lot of fun and went through a lot of trials and tribulation because obviously our industry is known to be um, quite ostracizing to a certain gender as well as nationality. Therefore, for you to be fighting against all these adversity in the likes of European cuisine who are mainstream in London, having to have Michelin star is like you are battling the titans, or you call yourself on a daily basis, become one of the gladiators in the Colosseum. You know, imagine that whole movie, Jared Butler 300. Yes. So that was my daily depict when I was working in the likes of London. And then afterward, I chose the path, hey, I want to settle, I want to have children. And then, unfortunately, our industry is not the most forgiving in terms of allowing people to nurture their next generation. So then having to take a very crucial decision is, do I still continue to stay on a country that I've known and loved and brought up at? Or do I take a leap of faith to move to a brand new country, which is in the Middle East and in Dubai? And this is where the funny, interesting fact that comes into play. Female empowerment until this point in time is still somewhat of a slogan than an action. In particular, so with the line of work that we do. I think if we look at the fact that, fine example, we've seen a progression, but the progression is not progressive enough for us to realize, hey, it is happening. From the number of Michelin-starred female chef to known and appreciated restaurateur, there's very few of us. Even female hoteliers, there are extremely very few of us. And this all comes down to the fact that the appreciation of skill and talent needs to be more focused than of a gender or of a nationality. So this is how I see it. Really.
Wow, interesting. And you started the call saying that most people think restaurants are simple, but yeah, like me, I worked in restaurants and they're one of the most complex business there is. Nowadays, I catch myself as a CEO watching a lot of YouTube Bon Appetit videos. I think they're quite amazing, and Michelin star restaurants always catch my attention because they're the very best at what they do. They're detail and the obsession with every single little step matters, and that's quite fascinating to me. My favorite was an Asian guy that was doing the pastry. I forgot that what restaurant, but it was so good, you know, like his attention to selecting the chocolate, to blending the chocolate in the machine, was it was just beautiful. um how did you get in the restaurant industry at first, and then why did you had your sights on Michelin starred restaurants?
So how I got into the restaurant, it was actually something that uh, is a very, I would say, it was of a cultural thing as well, because obviously anything to do with Oriental or subcontinent, there's always been a taboo where, oh, if you're suck at academic, then you can only find jobs that with your hands. And I find it is actually completely different. So I like the human interaction because the human interaction stimulate EQ and stimulate the communication and the interpersonal skills. And I find that whole fascinating. But then you also need to find a career that would harvest that excitement of my interest in talking to people. So hospitality somehow slotted beautifully into what I would love to do. Now, why in the line of Michelin star restaurant and why not going to a hotel? Um, Fundamentally difference is restaurant is a much smaller, a more compact business than of a hotel, first of all. How with which means that your level of intellectual agility, your commercial hustle skills, and various others become so highly strung and tuned. And that's where it really excites me. And on top of that, Michelin star grading is one of those things where it's the pinnacle. It's almost like you're an actor, and that's the Oscar. And then the fact is, it's not only awarded to the chef themselves, who are the edible artists, but also to the people who are us who looking after the various things from service to various others, become the most skill and the art of hospitality. So this is where we're at.
And what services do you specifically provide in your company, and who's your target market in these hotels and Michelin stars restaurant?
I think the thing is has always been a very interesting conversation to a lot of people. And according to the World Tourism Association, Chinese as a demographic of their spend the most amount of money against all the other nationality. Yet, as in China, there is less than a quarter of them have a passport. Now, if you look at it that way, which means there is a lot of travelers available to be traveled out to experience the world. And these are the market that people need to tap into. So what my company does, we specialize in Chinese marketing strategy, utilizing the Chinese social media. Because in China, there is no Google, there's no Facebook, there is no Instagram. So they have their own equivalent of that for the Chinese travelers to go search and to research, to search where they wanted to go, how they wanted to go, what is things that would make their interest. But then for the likes of the hoteliers or the restaurateur, because they've been so focused on the market of, okay, well, Instagram, Facebook, oh, now the Chinese has returned. So how are we going to attract these people? What would make sense for them to find them? How is your restaurant being searchable? So that's where my company come in. We help these hopefuls who are seeing that Chinese is a market that they wanting to target, to help them to find the best avenue for them to be seen and to be receiving booking directly, and also helping them to elevate their ranking on Chinese version of TripAdvisor and various others.
Interesting. And what price points could we expect from a service like that? Like, what do you charge?
It really depends because the thing is in China or as in the Western social media, you have all your main categories like your booking.com listing and then your TripAdvisor rating, then your Instagram and various others. So I give them like a pick and mix. In English, we call it, you go in a sweet shop. Okay, this is how much I have, and this is what. So it depending from the most basic, as in making sure that your listing is correct and maintaining all the answering, etc., etc., etc. So what we then do is we charge, say, around 1,000 US dollars per platform of us maintaining on a monthly retainer. And then we advise the guests, well, okay, well, Chinese New Year is coming up. Maybe you want to do some target from hashtag to SEOs, etc. So then that charges differently. And then some clients say, you know what, we're not confident, let us just switch on with, one platform. We also do that. So we hold their hands to do baby steps to the point that they wanting the fully all singing, all dancing WeChat, which is the super app that encompass of blog, WhatsApp, and everything else, even e-commerce, then it becomes a much bigger machine to facilitate and to look after.
Right. And as a Michelin star restaurant, isn't the best marketing to serve the best food ever? What type of marketing can you do that is luxurious and will have people in the funnel? How do you do these ads without having the restaurant sound cheap?
Sorry, I didn't quite catch you.
Yeah, the publicities that you do, the social media posts and so forth, how do you make them sound appealing? Because usually luxury brands do not advertise that much. I think a bunch of them are scared that this will make them look less exclusive. So how do you go with luxurious marketing like that?
I don't think I so this is where it becomes very interesting, and this is where of us being having on the other side of the line have been in operation would understand. So when every time we showcase, we still showcase the exclusivity. Now the exclusivity is not showcasing the client, it's the exclusivity of the product that they use. For example, from the food to the tableware to the glassware that they use, or also, what type of wine they have in their wine cellar. Why is their set menu is so expensive? How big is the kitchen team that they have to have in order to produce food for 30 people? What is the ratio of, the number of server against the number of customers? And then also the other thing of the ethos of the brand itself. A lot of the times I have people saying to me, oh, okay, so Gordon Ramsay has 3 Michelin star, but so does, 11 Madison Square and various others. How do we see or how do we distinguish the difference in why this is a 2 star and why this is a 3 star and why this is a 1 star and why is these guys are on the top 10 of world 50 best, but they have no star. So what do we look at that ratio? So the ratio is about the theatrical sentiment and the theatrical of the unique selling point of that restaurant. Just like any brand has their slogan or the brand have their own way of saying that this is who we are. And then of them fine tuning and seeking out their unique target audience who has that bandwidth of disposable income to go and spend and enjoy.
Right. So if I would hire you for my 2 Michelin star restaurant, and let's say that, like people, I don't have much recurring clients because people just come and visit. Most are tourists and they heard about me from their country and then they just come back. So what would you do exactly for me and at what price?
I think at the first thing is I would then look at your history to start with. Okay, which culinary school did you start with? What was your career journey that brought you to where you are first? So from that, we already start creating that personal brand, because anything to do with a Michelin star restaurant is there are human beings of that human factor behind it. It cannot be just a chef. It cannot be just a sommelier. It cannot be just a manager. So everyone key people have an element and to propel from there. So it's creating the persona of all these key personnel to start with, then looking at the overall product from the cuisine to the delivery to the offering to the beverage, looking at analyzing no less than 100 reviews on TripAdvisor and various medium to come up with a, a, a formula to say that, oh, okay, well, these are the things that this restaurant is known for as the pro. These are the things that the restaurant are known as the con. So then we then work with the operation team to say, okay, we need to work on rectifying those and turning the negative into positive. Now, from that, the next minute is then going through the different medium of marketing. It could be Chinese marketing, it could be Western, it could be any other language, depending on the flow of customers, again, the different nationality of the different time of the year, and doing various saying hello, introduction, press release to the different things like Bon Appetit, as you said, word of mouth, and discover 50 best, various other medium that you get picked up on the radar on. That's where we start the ball rolling, etc., etc. Now, something like this is very lengthy and is no less than a a 5-6 figure work, and then we do them in phase. And normally to complete the entirety, to get them into having more booking coming in, it will take no less than 9 months to do it.
Right, and tell me about the Dubai luxury scene, the restaurants, the hotel there, how the industry is different from other places in the world, call it US, and tell us also about China. What trends are you seeing in these markets?
So Dubai is a very interesting place because it's a huge melting pot. Currently, the current population in the entire UAE is actually called United Arab Emirates. So Dubai is actually only one of the city. So the entire country's population is touching around 9.5 million, which is very, very little. And then of the local Emirati, as in the local people, are only touching around 1.2 million. And the rest are or expat, like people like us who come and work and call this place a home. So therefore, within the current formation of this country, they have over 150 different nationality living in this one country. And with that, there are different level of temperament because of the different upbringing, different cuisine, and various others. Luxury has two bandwidth. So you have the luxury because of the well-marketed unique selling point of Dubai being the gold of the desert, or the wow factor of the desert. So a lot of the tourists comes to want to see the glitz and glam of what is this desert city is all about. For people of us who lives here is all the different bandwidth, and everyone can only stay here if they have a job, and if they otherwise they won't have a visa. So their crime rate is next to nothing. It's almost zero. And I'll give you a fine example. So the biggest shopping mall in the world is called Dubai Mall. Some ladies, and they let's say they're having a nice coffee at one of the lovely cafe, and then suddenly it's call of prayer during the prayer time. They will stand up, leave their Hermes bag and their mobile phone on the table, and they go prayer. No one touches anything. And they come back, the bag is still there, the phone is still there. This is something that is completely unheard of any country in the world. Okay. And that's where this whole security thing becomes such a prominent thing about people always have that misconception about, oh, Middle East, oh, it's very dangerous, especially for ladies. No, in actual fact, it's extremely safe. And myself now are traveling a lot to Saudi Arabia for work. Um, the genuine feeling of the place is much more pleasant than what people anticipate. It's a very dry country. There is hardly any entertainment. So is it a place that of us Westerners want to stay there? Not really. But they are improving, and there are a lot of people call that place home too. And safety, especially of this day and age, is absolutely paramount. And also, despite this, although whatever the current war situation, people would deem, oh my God, the area is extremely unsafe. No, it's not, because at the end of the day, every country has their own way to survive. And obviously, all the biggest airlines and everyone still have to fly across this area as such. So it doesn't make any difference. And the flight route will always be a flight route. So it's a matter of how people look at it. Now, if you say the difference of how the way I deem luxury in the Middle East is, there is no boundary. It's the biggest answer to you. Is anything you can dream of, anything can have a price tag, then it's acquirable. The only things that cannot acquire is when there is no price tag put against it. So this is the luxury in Middle East for you.
Love it.
Which is very different from any other nationality.
Right. Yeah, I can feel that. What are your top 3 goals for 2024?
My top 3 goals for 2024. Ooh, this is a big question, Charles. Um, my biggest dream in 2024 is to fully inaugurate this graduate placement program that I've been working extremely hard on trying to do, is trying to nurture the next generation of hotel managers, restaurant general managers, and various others. How do we elevate the hospitality industry talent shortage overall? But on top, the most point is the appreciation of having talent and not just looking at them as a extra body that can hold plates and hold glasses. um, Looking at, and with this graduate program is about how to enable or elevate the China hospitality industry. Because of seeing the exchange program, I've been working so hard to try to do an exchange program where getting China hospitality graduates to come over to work in Middle East, which is a very international, global playground, and then having of what they learn and bringing it back to China to elevate the service level, the international recognition, and most of all is the international level of interpersonal skills.
Love it, Peggy. Where can people find out more about you?
So they can find me on LinkedIn, which is the best way to find me. I'm actually going to be speaking at the very big hospitality summit of SKIFT, SKIFT, coming up in the beautiful, swanky Royal Atlantis between the 12th to the 14th, where Beyonce did the opening. Yep. And then I am very reachable, so LinkedIn is the best route to find me.
That was Peggy Li and Charles Cormier for another CEO Wisdom Podcast.com.